So thank you so much for having me. This is like CSI Vegas, right? This is the original CSI. I'm from the Cleveland campus. We're actually warmer than you guys. I had to bring my coat, but thank you so much for having me. So what I'm going to be talking to you today about is meditation in neurology. So you can see, and I'm sorry I have a cold, so I'm getting over a cold right now. I sound like Kathleen Turner, and a frog. But anyway, so from the cover of Time magazine to the corporate offices of Google, LinkedIn, and even the National Football League, mindfulness is now officially everywhere. So mindfulness and meditation has been around for thousands of years, right? But only recently has this been increasing in healthcare. And the reason why is because this and other forms of complementary and alternative medicine is something that patients are turning to, because face it, you're tired of taking medications that make you feel fat and goofy and cost a ton and don't work, right? And so did you know in the year 2007, do you know how much money Americans spent out of pocket in 1 year alone? Just guess. How much? It's like The Price is Right. Like, don't anyone say $1. Okay. How much? $34 billion. 34, 1 year. That was 2007. And you can see here, I've got here up on the screen all the different types of complementary alternative medicine. So number one, and still in 2015, the number one thing that we're spending our money on is vitamins and natural supplements that are not vitamins, okay? But you have to be careful, and I talked about this before, but how many of you have heard of red yeast rice for statins, right? Or for your cholesterol? Did you know, so red yeast rice was formed at the same time as Lipitor and all these other statins, right? They were in a race. And what's the active ingredient in red yeast rice is called monocolin K, and that's the stuff that's in the statins. However, when the FDA found out that monocolin K was an active ingredient, it's all out of red yeast rice. All you're getting now is filler. I don't know if you know that. So the red yeast rice is not real. Now, some of the stuff coming from China and overseas still sneak it in, but the problem is you don't really know what you're getting, right? So I'm a little cautious when I talk about supplements. But what I'm going to focus on today is meditation, specifically mindfulness. And you can see here, I've kind of highlighted them in light blue. Deep breathing, meditation, yoga. 5 of the top 10 are all mindfulness or meditation based. And you know what the great part of that is? It's free, right? It's free, and there's no side effects, and it works. All right, so what is mindfulness? We hear about mindfulness all the time. The definition is non-judgmental, moment-to-moment awareness. What does that mean? That means that when you feel a sensation, like hunger, right? What do we feel? We're like, oh, I'm hungry. Gosh, I'm starving. I can't wait to eat that thing. And it just goes on and on. Or, the room is a little cold today, right? So, ooh, it's a little cold. The sensation of cold is all you should feel, and then you let it go, right? And then that's it. But what do we say? Oh, it's cold. I wish I had my jacket. You know, that one my friend gave me the other day. I wonder what my friend's doing right now. I can't believe she said that to me, right? And and it just goes on and on and on. But mindfulness is keeping it right there. Oh, it's cold, and letting it go. Now, as I said before, we've been doing meditation and mindfulness for over 2,500 years. It got its start in Buddhism, but now it's completely non-denominational. Anyone can do it, any religion, no religion, you can do it. And we're doing it for healthcare purposes. There's many different kinds, from what the Beatles did. It's so funny, in my residence, I'll say, do you know the Beatles? And some of them will be like, who? I was like, really? You don't know the Beatles? But so the Beatles did their transcendental meditation, where they chanted on a specific, phrase, and they said it over and over again. But mindfulness is a little bit different. It's not focusing on one specific thing. You're being in the moment, right? So a popular form to get you started is a breathing awareness. And now this is not truly mindfulness, because it's more of a focus on your breathing, but it anchors your thoughts, and it's a good start. And we're going to do a lot of these today. We're all going to do it together, okay? And you just focus on your breath, and we just see the thoughts come, and then we let them go. A better one that many patients do for insomnia, and I just did a sleep talk in Virginia last week, but it's called body awareness, or the body scanning technique. And my friend's dad actually taught this to her when she was a child. And I said, do you know you were practicing meditation? But what you do is, so you're lying in bed, right, and your thoughts are going like this. You can't sleep, and you've already taken your Ambien for the night, so you can't take another one. But you start at your forehead, and you think, okay, what am I feeling right here? Is it itchy? Is it dry? And then you come down to your forehead. What am I feeling here? Is it smooth? Am I not feeling anything? And then you go down to your eyes. Do my eyes feel itchy, or do they feel anything? And then you just come down. What does my face feel? What does my body feel? And you go up and down and up and down, the whole body. And before you know it, you'll be asleep. It's like counting sheep. And then there's movement meditation. And this is what many of us do already if we do something like this. And I'm going to talk to you about that. So the first type of movement meditation, you guys have heard of Tai Chi, right? Tai Chi is a form of Chinese movement. And everybody knows cloud hands. We're going to do cloud hands today. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. But it's like this, right? You see all the Chinese people on TV, and it's really smooth, and it's really nice and relaxing. But what you might not know is that if you do Tai Chi quickly, it's a defense move, all right? And many men know this. They've learned this in martial arts and judo. So if you do cloud hands quickly, you've just blocked somebody, okay? So that's Tai Chi. Qigong is different. It is another Chinese movement meditation, but it's a little bit more vigorous, and it's with breathing, and it's letting go, and it's like this, okay? And you can do it sitting, and you can do it standing. We'll do a little bit of that too today. And then yoga, everybody knows yoga, right? I've tried yoga, I've tried hot yoga, cold yoga. I've tried everything. Hot yoga it's a waste of money, don't do it. It's really dangerous for you guys. And I have to say, a lot of my patients love yoga, and if you're good at it and you like it, keep doing it. It's good for you, right? The best kind of yoga that I recommend my patients is called restorative yoga. And unfortunately, I see a lot of very sad, very serious diseases like ALS. You guys have heard of Lou Gehrig's disease, right? So I see a lot of that. And these patients can't move that much. And so we say, go do restorative yoga. Restorative yoga, I love that kind of yoga. You get a great big wedge pillow, okay? And you lie on the wedge pillow. And you do this. You do meditative movements with the instructor. It's wonderful. So something to think about. You can call around town and ask about restorative yoga. Who does it? Lots of people do it. There's chair yoga too. I don't do the ones where the 19-year-olds are in spandex pants and then they're yelling at me. You need to keep your eyes open. We want to make sure you're okay. So I'm really bad at it, but I think it's a good form of meditation. And then brisk walking. Brisk walking, we're going to talk about this, but brisk walking is a form of mindfulness meditation that you can do every day. When you walk outside of here, you can do it. All right. What do all of these practices have in common? Well, they all have to do with getting your attention on the present moment. And why is your attention so important? Because psychologists have found that attention is the bedrock, it's the foundation of all complex thinking activity. So we know that lapses in attention, right? When patients, this is why the residents and all the physicians now, we have restricted duty hours when we're in training because things get missed, right? Patients you have to suffer from errors. So we have to be careful. Motor vehicle accidents, when you're tired, you can get into a car accident, and that's just a lapse in attention. Or drugs and alcohol, it can result in disasters, things that we don't even want to talk about. But there was an interesting 2020 study, and I think I talked about this before, but it was about 25 years ago, and I don't know if you saw this. So 2020 it was a research study, okay, it was 2020, but they took one group of people and they got them drunk, all right, totally drunk. Then they got one group of people and they kept them awake for 36 hours. And then they put them on a closed driving course, okay? And on the driving course, like they would put obstacles in the path. Like they would suddenly put a garbage can, or they would suddenly put a cardboard picture of a woman pushing a baby carriage, and they would watch the two groups. Who do you think did better? The drunk people or the sleep-deprived people? The drunks. The drunks did better than the sleep-deprived people. There were skid marks on the drunk driving course For the sleep deprived, they ran right over the woman with the baby carriage. So lapses in attention, very, very, very dangerous. But even when you're not doing something, even when it's just a mild lapse in attention, okay? When it's not this major thing like a car accident, even when, just think about when you're in a meeting or in a conference and the speaker's really boring, right? Not here, not now, right? What do you guys do? What do we do? If you're not allowed to look at your iPhone, what does everybody do? We daydream, right? Who doesn't dream of winning the lottery? I dream of winning the lottery. You know, I even told my boss, you know what? If I win the lottery, you're not even going to get a letter of resignation from me. I'm just going to go, right? And he goes, no, you're going to stay. Aren't you? You're going to keep working. I was like, no, I don't think so. But so daydreaming, I mean, the thing is, it doesn't help us in everyday life, right? And in fact, it's bad for us because it competes for the same resources that we need to do more complex interactions, right? And it actually has been found to impair our ability to recall and remember things. There was another study that was published in a psychology journal where there was one group of people who just was supposed to listen to a phone message, okay? You weren't allowed to write anything, you weren't allowed to do anything, and another group of people who were allowed to doodle, okay? So the phone message was really intentionally boring. It was a woman with a really monotone voice, and she was saying, so my party's tomorrow at 7. Joan is coming in at 5. We're all going to meet at the restaurant. And then, oh, I think that Barb is coming. And it was just long, long, long. And then at the end of the 15-minute message, you were asked to remember details, right? Who's coming to the party? What time is the party? Where is the party? And then who do you think did better? The people who were allowed to doodle or the people who just sat there? The doodlers, the doodlers. And the thing is, at least you're concentrating on something. Whereas if you're daydreaming, you are gone. You are out there. So attention is really, really important. But what's worse than all of this? What's worse? It's technology, right? There was an executive who became a meditation teacher, and she said, we are at a point where technology is beyond what we can handle, right? It's just beyond. And they asked Americans, how many of you who are currently working, how many of you check your email on the weekend? How many do you think check their emails on the weekends? Almost everyone. Well, 50%, 50%. But that's a lot, right? Your work email, not your fun email, your work email. And how many do you think check the email on vacation? 40%. 40%, and probably even more that won't admit it. And it's just terrible. iPad, iPhone, the kids today, I feel really bad for them, right? I think they said that my generation is the last generation to remember a world without computers, where we played outside, and our parents just let us go outside all day. But when you can concentrate that attention and really pay attention to what's going on now, it changes you, and it can change the brain. We know now that it increases gray matter. That's the outside of the brain, the cortex, that actually helps you with memory and helps you make executive decisions. It helps with neuroplasticity, which means that you learn how to do new things. Parts of your brain that have kind of atrophied away and shriveled away, other parts of the brain learn how to pick up the slack and take over. And physiological changes, and this is important. What do we do? My mother always says that our thoughts kill us, right? We're always stuck in our heads over and over again. We think about the same things again and again and again. And one of my favorite studies, they were talking about depression. Mindfulness can help with depression. So the example they always give is a guy asks a girl out, okay? Girl says no. What does the typical man say? In Vegas, your loss, right? No, but seriously, most normal men would say what? Okay, it wasn't meant to be, not a big deal. The next one will say yes, right? But what does a man with depression say? A man with recurrent depression, he'll say, she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me. No one likes me. I'm unattractive. Nobody will ever want me. I'll be alone forever. Again and again and again. And you do this vicious spiral, and it becomes second nature, right? And you learn this. And then the next time something bad happens, you think about it again. Nobody likes me. I'm unattractive. And it's horrible. And each time it's worse and worse. Well, what mindfulness does is it lets you see this as a false brain message. Your thoughts you don't have to own them. They're just thoughts. They're just natural phenomena that come and go. So you can see them. You're like, okay, I'm unattractive. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's just a false brain message. So you can let it go. And that's the form of mindfulness. That's what it is. And then you put in new thoughts. It wasn't meant to be. She wasn't the right one. It wouldn't have worked out. Something like that, instead of, she doesn't like me. Nobody likes me. And so what we see is increased activity in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is right here. That's the part of the brain where you can have a new memory, okay? Mindfulness enables you to learn new things. So you learn, that's not me. I'm really a good guy, and it just didn't work out. And then it decreased activity in the frontal lobes. Oh, sorry. That's all right. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so decreased activity in the frontal lobes. And the frontal lobes is where you're doing this over and over and over again. So you stop ruminating, right? And I'm just as bad. I'm a dweller. I dwell on things. But it helps you reduce that. Okay, and then it leads to preserved brain. You can actually preserve your brain. I mean, as we get older, our brain cells die. It's just the way it is, right? But the thing is, meditation, they found in a study by University of Pennsylvania that people who had been meditating for years actually had increased gray matter than people who had not meditated. So it's never too late to start. All right, what does it do to your body? Well, have you heard of the fight or flight response, where if you see a bear like this, you know, your heart goes faster, your eyes dilate, and suddenly you pee in your pants, or you can't pee at all? Well, this actually reduces your blood pressure, gets your heart rate down, and it does help with these things. It can help with diabetes. It can help reduce the amount of cortisol, that adrenaline that's put out. For immune-mediated activity, the patients who got the flu shot, they found that those who had done meditation had more antibodies in response than those who didn't. So it increases your immune system. And we talked about reducing the cortisol, and it actually can help you with pain. Does it take away pain? No. I mean, that's a lie, right? Oh, I'm going to meditate it away. No. But you actually start to understand your pain, and then there are some things in your brain that kind of modify it, and you're like, oh, it's not so bad. Okay. And the psychological effects. Well, everybody knows it relaxes you, right? You remember that Seinfeld episode where George is like, serenity now, right? So it helps you cope, and you can accept the things, you accept the things you cannot change. And I think that that's like the old serenity prayer, right? A lot of our unhappiness comes from that gap between the way you want things to be and the way they really are. And that's what mindfulness does. It closes that gap. And then self-control, you feel like you have more willpower. Self-efficacy. This is a term that's used in medical trials or clinical trials where we know that the self-efficacy is the feeling that you have accomplished something, that you're able to do something for your illness. I know a lot of patients with multiple sclerosis. You've heard of this disease. This is being treated here. I trained her. My resident is now a staff here, Carrie Hirsch. But MS is one of those diseases where you don't know when the next relapse is going to come. It can come anytime, right? And so you're at the mercy of your disease. But when you do things like yoga and meditation, you know that you are doing something for your disease. It's going to help you. And so you feel like you're doing something more than all the drugs that you're getting that make you feel awful, okay? And then improves your self-regulation. So there's something called cognitive dissonance. Have you heard of this? Cognitive dissonance. So have you ever heard of doctors who smoke, right? I know lung specialists who smoke and cardiologists. So at the Cleveland Clinic main campus, Roger Mee was one of the most world-famous pediatric cardiothoracic surgeons in the world. We got him from Australia. That's how good he was, right? Amazing hands. The little hearts are like this big, and he could fix them. But in his office, he was the only one at the Cleveland Clinic. They built a special ventilation system just for him so he could smoke. And in the middle of his surgeries, he'd be like, I have to take a break. And everybody knew what it was for, right? He had to go get a cigarette. He's since retired, but he was wonderful, and he's a legend. But, I mean, come on. He's one of the most world-famous cardiothoracic surgeons in the world. He knew, right? He knew that smoking was bad for him, and yet he still did it. But he couldn't stop it. You're addicted, right? And no, we're not judging. We all do things that I shouldn't have that piece of pie. Pass it over here, right? So we do things all the time that we don't want to do, or that we want to do, but we know we shouldn't. And that's cognitive dissonance. Meditation helps you get over that and say, you know what, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. And of course, we just talked about how we can change the pattern of thoughts, all right? All right, so how do you meditate? Not like this. This is not how you meditate, okay? This does not get you relaxed. So John Kabat-Zinn is a famous psychologist who actually systematized meditation and mindfulness-based practices so that he could teach it to a large group and that you could use it for health-related purposes and that you could use it for clinical trials. And the most common one you'll see in the research, meditation helps for smoking, meditation helps for diabetes. He used this technique. It's called mindfulness-based stress reduction, okay? And it's an 8-week course. You read this book, and then you do mindfulness practices with a teacher. But I just wanted to show you what they do. And part of it's the scanning technique that I talked to you about, breathing, and some yoga postures. And then that one used for medical things, like I said, high blood pressure, diabetes, ALS, things like that, or MS. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is the one that I was telling you about for depression, right? Where you have to have a psychologist, but it's also an 8-week course. And they teach you how to change your thought patterns, okay? Like you know now, gene therapy is here. I don't know if you've heard that. Gene therapy for patients who have gene diseases that you can't cure, but now we can. Now we can. Does everybody know Jerry's kids? Remember Jerry Lewis? You had the telethon, and and do you guys know about the disease called muscular dystrophy, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy? So these kids, they're boys mainly. It's an X-linked disease, so it's mainly boys. They die in their teens and 20s. Their muscles just get weaker and weaker, and they die, and it's heartbreaking. And there's no exceptions. There's almost no exceptions. They all die. And what it is they're missing this gene that makes muscles stable. So what they did was they found that they know what the gene is. They put it in a virus, and then they put that virus inside the child. And that virus, what does the virus do? It multiplies and it spreads, and they make the gene again. And so these kids in the clinical trials are living a little longer, a little longer. I mean, it's not a cure, but we're there for other diseases too. And so the same thing for your thoughts. What we do is, so you've got this thought in your head, and we'll go back to that young man, right, who asked the girl out, I'm unattractive, nobody likes me, there's something wrong with me. We get into that thought process and we insert a new gene, right? The new gene is this. That's not true. You're a really good person, right? And then so that becomes a virus, and you multiply that, and I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person. That's what mindfulness is. All right. Now, how do we do mindfulness in neurological disorders? And these are the clinical trials that have been out there. So this is evidence-based medicine. This is showing you that it does work in the setting of neurologic diseases. So in the setting of neuropathy, mindfulness-based treatment helps pain and quality of life measures. Do you guys know what neuropathy is? 25 million people in the US have it. This is what I see at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, all day long. Numbness and tingling and burning pain. It's awful. My patients call it the silent disease because you can't see it. Everyone thinks, oh, you look great. Well, I don't feel great. I'm in pain, right? But you're not bleeding from every orifice. So meditation helps with this. Multiple sclerosis, it helps with fatigue, depression, and quality of life. There are some people who think that stress trigger relapses, and so it might help to prevent relapses as well. Traumatic brain injury. So I was in the Navy. I look like a Japanese stewardess in my uniform. But I helped take care of the guys coming back from Iraq. And many of you remember the Vietnam War, but these guys from Iraq, it's going to be a huge multi-billion-dollar problem. They're coming back, and what happens is they wear the Kevlar vests, right, in Iraq. And the Kevlar vests, they protect the bodies from the bombs, which is great, except you don't wear a Kevlar vest over your head. And so what happens is the explosion comes, and if it comes from the front, if it comes from the back, you're not as bad. But when it comes from the front, I was told that the explosion, the force comes up, and it rattles into the helmet. And then you come out, and I see them, they're drooling on their bikes. It's awful. Or they have horrible headaches and post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's terrible. And so this is going to be a huge problem that we need to address now. Meditation helps them. It helps with the fatigue, and it helps with depression. Stroke prevention, as I said before, it helps reduce your blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and mental fatigue. Stroke is definitely caused by stress, because what does stress do? What does your blood pressure do? like this, right? And your heart rate goes like this. And when your heart rate isn't normal, it can cause a stroke. There was a report, and it's a famous report from about 50 years ago. There was a man and his wife, and the wife said, honey, we're going to go to dinner with, I don't know, the Smiths, right, or the Joneses. And he was so angry, he didn't want to go to dinner, that he had a brain bleed because he was so angry. So it can happen. It can happen. All right. Mindfulness in Parkinson's. So meditation has actually been found to improve gray matter density in the brain. Again, the cortex and very, very important parts of the brain that are involved with Parkinson's disease. And then Qigong, which is a moving meditation. Like I said, it's like this, and there's a lot of breathing with it. Qigong help improve the tremor scores and all the movement. Because patients with Parkinson's look like this. They don't move very well. Do you guys remember Michael J. Fox from Family Ties? If you watch the old Michael J. Fox, like old Family Ties, you can see he keeps one hand in his pocket, okay? And that was because the hand had a tremor. If you look back at all the reruns towards the end of the series. But anyway, so Qigong helps with the movement, and we don't know why. Migraine and headaches definitely helps with relaxation. Tai Chi, I think movement meditation is better for things like migraine. And then dementia, as I said before, it increases blood flow, and it improves memory, and it helps to preserve brain. Seizures. It used to be controversial of whether or not meditation helped. They even thought that meditation might worsen seizures. Not true. Research just came out a couple months ago. I sent it to my friend who's a seizure specialist. You actually get reduced seizure frequency and better seizure control with epilepsy. With meditation. Insomnia. There's tons of articles now. This is big right now in insomnia, because how many people have insomnia in this room? I have had insomnia at least once in your life, right? And again, it's mainly because of this, right? You got to get out of your head. That's the main thing. Get out of your head. And so they've done meditation in older patients, in younger patients, and they have found that it definitely improves sleep quality, improves how you feel during the day, and it improves the total wake time. And then, of course, sleep disturbances in older adults. This is one of the most common problems out there. And some of it, I don't know if you know, it can be from you don't have enough melatonin. As we get older, our melatonin levels drop. That's normal. It's also reduced with medications. How many of you take beta blockers, which are medications for high blood pressure, okay? Oh, there you go, right? That reduces your melatonin levels. NSAIDs, like Advil, Motrin, ibuprofen, that reduces your melatonin levels. And then patients who have had other medical conditions, like anyone who's had a heart attack, anyone who's had a stroke, anyone with chronic pain, all of that reduces your melatonin levels. And what does melatonin do? Helps with your sleep-wake cycle. If you don't have melatonin, you're not going to sleep that well. So, and I'm not saying to go out and buy melatonin, okay, because that might not help either. But this is part of the reason why sleep disorders is very prevalent in older patients. So meditation definitely helps with that. Now, when should you consider mindfulness-based interventions or meditation? Well, number one, when you think that stress is a trigger. And for many diseases, not all, but for many diseases, stress is a major contributor to the condition. Number two, when you've tried everything on the $4 Walmart list, and yes, I know about the $4 Walmart list, and there's a $12 CVS list too. Some of my patients come in, they're like, all right, doc, this is all I can take. You have to pick one on this. And so I will, because medications are very expensive. And Medicare, unless you have Part D and you're not in the hole, right, that's like the donut hole, or whatever it's called, right, it's the hole, you don't have medication coverage. And this year, all the insurance companies are dropping things like flies. Oh, we don't cover this anymore. We don't cover that anymore. I've been on the insurance. I have 3 appointments on Friday to talk to insurance companies to get medications covered for my patient. So when you've tried everything and nothing works, this is a nice solution for you. When you have sleep disturbances, when you don't have the best coping skills, or when you think you could improve your coping skills, meditation can help you. And of course, when you have things like anxiety and depression. These are real diseases. Anxiety and depression used to have this stigma, but this is real, and it's a disease just like any other, just like high blood pressure, and it needs to be addressed, it needs to be treated, and not swept under the rug. There was a young man in my town, I think he's a 14-year-old boy, who's African American, and he won a speech or an essay contest in Cleveland about race relations and why we should talk about race. And he said that if you keep sweeping things under the rug, you're going to trip over them sooner or later. And so that's why he won. I was like, oh, very good. But anyway, so the same thing with anxiety, depression. If you've got it, you've got to address it and you've got to treat it. All right. So what are specific recommendations that I make for my patients? So for everybody, somatic scanning, which is what I was saying before, just starting with your head, what do I feel? Come down to your forehead, come down to your eyes, go to the back of your head, and just scan up and down. Everyone can do that. It's easy. You don't have to be an Olympic runner. You can just do it in your bed. You can do it while you're sitting. Breathing awareness is good too, and we're going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do some of that today. Except for those with severe depression, because the problem is it's easy for people with severe depression to fall back into their thoughts. They'll be like, my forehead is itchy, I'm itchy, I got that rash again, I got to go get that cream. And then you start feeling bad about yourself, right? So you got to be careful, Now, brisk walking method, we're going to talk about that. This is for people who can walk or who like to walk. And what you do is you need to walk without headphones, walk without a friend, walk without your dog. And you got to walk, and you're going to see things come and go, and you're going to let things go. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then movement meditation for patients who have Parkinson's or chronic pain. Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, those are great for spasticity and balance. Tai Chi is the best for imbalance, by the way. People love it. Because you stand like this, and your legs are more apart than your shoulders. They're just above shoulder width. And then you learn how to do balance. Okay. And then for insomnia, oh, wait, I went backwards. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so insomnia we talked about, sleep disturbances we talked about. All right, meditation on the effects of pain and neuropathy and MS. So I did have a disclosure, I forgot to tell you. My mother is a Buddhist monk. She used to be a soccer mom. She played mahjong on the weekends. She brought egg rolls to the school bake sales. But after my brother and I finished medical school, she ordained as a Buddhist monk, and she now has a rainforest temple in Thailand. And she teaches one person at a time from all over the world, America, Japan, Singapore, they all come, one at a time for free. She doesn't charge anything, and it's in the rainforest. I pay for it, but anyway, so that's okay. So we imported her from the rainforest to Cleveland in the dead of winter. And we did a meditation, or we did a clinical trial with her. And I did it with my colleagues in MS. So it was a neuropathy MS clinical trial. We had 22 people, half were MS, half were neuropathy. And we did it for 8 weeks. And we did Tai Chi, Qigong. We did sitting meditation, breathing meditation, walking meditation. And we looked at all different kinds of parameters, okay? So fatigue, spasticity, pain. And we found that at the 2 months, significantly reduced in pain, improved quality of life measures, and improved fatigue. And these were the things that we were looking at specifically in the research trial. This is the things that we can put in the paper, and it was published several years ago. But what the patients told us, we couldn't put in the paper, but we took it to heart because we know that it helps. They said that more than just a couple told us that their blood pressure was reduced when they went to follow up with their primary care physician. Their pain overall was more manageable. They had improved physical and mental function. They had less fatigue. They could walk longer, increased balance, and they had inner peace. There was one young woman who had neuropathy who came to our study. And she was very sad because she had nerve damage. I can't remember why she had nerve damage, but she had lost a baby. And then she had to have her uterus removed because of cancer. So she had no internal women organs, and her husband had just gotten married. And her husband, it was out of the question. He did not want to adopt a child, right? So she could never have a child, and he wanted a child, and so she didn't know what to do. The meditation helped her come to terms with what was going on, and she just accepted it. She's like, this is it. I cannot have children anymore, right? Even with the Immaculate Conception, I don't have the plumbing to have the kids, right? And if he's going to leave me, he'll leave me. It is what it is. And that's exactly what she said. It is what it is. And then after the meditation study, I didn't see her until 2 years later. 2 years later, she made an appointment with me, not because of the neuropathy. She just wanted to tell me. You know, she had her insurance pay for this, and we coded it, so they paid for it. But she just wanted to tell me. They had found a surrogate mother so that it would be his child, and they were about to pick the baby up in the weekend. So it worked. It is what it is. But she would have accepted it any way it went. So that was a happy ending. All right. So I'm sorry these are out of order, but the other things that we were talking about, mindfulness recommendations. So as I said before, restorative yoga is great for everybody, but especially for my ALS patients, MS patients who can't walk, Parkinson's patients, even Alzheimer's patients, who can't do very much, but it's really relaxing. It's wonderful, and I've done it myself, and it's not sleeping. I'm not sleeping. You're really meditating, and it's wonderful. And I always use this in combination with conventional medications. I don't do complementary and alternative medicine in lieu of or instead of. I always do it with, right? I'm not going to treat your infection with meditation. That's ridiculous, right? Or if you're bleeding from every orifice, I'm not going to say, well, just scan your body. Just scan it, right? No, you're going to die while you're scanning. All right, so what do I tell my patients, right? I mean, obviously, we have an hour visit. I'm not going to be able to teach them how to do it, in an hour. But I'll tell them, you want to start? Go to your community. There's always something offered in the community, okay? And it's usually maybe $20 for a whole session, like the whole semester. And you go to the Y, your gym or your health club, any kind of wellness center. I mean, for many years, I took Tai Chi at the Cleveland Heights Community Center for $30. And my teacher, his name is Robert, and I love him to death. He's African American. And I always tell him, Robert, do you know only in America can a black man teach a Chinese girl how to do Tai Chi? And he loved that. He loved that. So you can learn all kinds of things in your community. There's some books and CDs out there. Like I said, John Kabat-Zinn was a psychologist. Jack Kornfield was a psychologist. You can buy these. You can get them online at Amazon. There are some meditation retreats. I put the website here, different ones. Like the ones that, I went to the first one and the last one. They're both, the first one's free. Anyone can go. For 10 days, you go, they feed you vegetarian food, and at the end of the visit, if you want to donate, you bring your sleeping bag, and at the end of the visit, if you want to donate something, you can. But I went when I was 19. I didn't have any money. I think I donated like $10. I was like, thank you so much for 10 days worth of food and lodging. This is all I have, right? But Spirit Rock is more expensive. And they have different teachers. All these people have different teachers. I went to Spirit Rock, and everyone wears T-shirts and shorts, but the T-shirts are like, Accenture Consulting, Bain Consulting, right? The law firms, right? So it's like that. But whatever you want to do, if you're interested, just do it. It's 10 days. You can leave whenever you want to. It's not a commune. Everyday mindfulness. This is how you can meditate for yourself, all right? So I've got different things, different situations where you can learn how to do meditation. So as I said before, mindfulness with sitting or like breathing exercises, it's not true mindfulness, but it's a good start. I think if you're going to start meditation, you need to start with something, and this is easy. So what you do is you just get in a comfortable chair. You do not have to be cross-legged in the middle of the floor on a hard floor. You're just going to hurt your bottom, right? And you're going to hate meditation. So you just get, seriously, in a comfy sofa. My mother teaches meditation on a sofa, okay? So you just sit in a comfortable chair. Like this would be hard for me. I wouldn't sit in that kind of chair. But you find a comfortable chair, and you just focus attention on one part of your body. Usually right here, okay, about 2 inches above your navel, like right here, that's where your chi is, or right here. And you just feel the breath in and out. Feel the breath in and out. And breathe naturally. You don't have to breathe hard. You don't have to breathe soft. I think sometimes it's easier here, and you just feel, is it cold? Is it warm? That's it. You just focus your mind here. Whenever your mind goes away, you bring it back. You just center it again and again and again. And then you just observe your thoughts. Mindfulness in the car, all right? I try not to listen to the radio. I don't listen to anything. I definitely don't text, right? I mean, there's some sad, they don't text and drive. I try not to talk on the phone. And of course, that's one of the most stressful situations, especially people from out of town, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. People are like weaving in and out of traffic. Everybody's in a hurry. Everyone wants to get where they need to be. But the thing is, you're all traffic, right? I'm traffic when I'm in traffic. So you have to understand that everybody wants to be someplace, and just let it go. And if somebody cuts you off, before you give them a lovely finger gesture or some kind of hand gesture, what you want to do is you want to take 5 deep breaths, okay? Just 5 deep breaths, and it goes away. And it just kind of resets you just for a bit. And then you can give the finger gesture if you want to. No, I'm just kidding. All right, mindfulness with eating. And they have found that you actually eat less calories if you are mindful when you're eating. So at my office, in my computer, my keyboard is completely disgusting. It's sticky. There's like food and the food particles and crumbs all over the keyboard. Even the IT guys, like the technical guys who come in to change my keyboard, they're like, ooh, you know, they don't want to touch it. They don't want to glove it because, and the reason why, I eat and I work at the same time. And the time that I have for lunch, I am eating and typing and doing notes and calling my patients. So it's not mindfulness. It's not great. So we're not paying attention when we eat. How many of you, while you're eating, have the next forkful ready to go before you're even done with what you're in your mouth? Right? You're like, I'm ready, right? And so we end up shoveling our food, and before our hypothalamus, the part of the brain that says we're full, can actually switch on, we're like, I'm done, I'm still hungry. I think I'm gonna have another piece, right? I'm gonna have this, and you raid your cabinet, right? But if you're mindful, then you will be full, and you'll understand, and your food will taste better. You can enjoy your food. And so what you could do is, before you eat, take a deep breath, and just stop. You know, and if you normally pray, pray. If you don't pray, what I started doing a couple years ago is a gratitude prayer, you know? Just, hey, I want to thank everyone who made this food possible, from the farmers, the people who packaged the food, the clerk at the grocery store who sold me the food. I want to thank all of them for bringing this food to my table today. And then you start extrapolating it to the people you love in your life. I'm so grateful to have this person and that person. And then it just kind of resets your mind, and it helps you start the meal in a good way. You can breathe, do 3 deep breaths right before you eat. And then survey your meal. When you're about to eat, all right, so Thanksgiving is coming, so you can look at your meal. Look at what's on your plate. Look at all the different colors. And when you pick a piece of food up with your fork, look at what's on the fork. When you put it in your mouth, feel the texture. Enjoy it. Taste it. And don't shovel it in like I do every day from Monday through Friday at noon. Okay. Mindfulness with walking. All right, so you want to get comfortable shoes, tennis shoes or athletic shoes. Walk outside if possible. You guys live in Vegas. You have no excuses. I live in Cleveland. It snows 8 months of the year. I think there's 4 seasons, right? There's pre-winter, winter, post-winter, and summer, and that's it. But you guys can walk outside all the time. But if you can't walk outside, if it's raining or it's a little chilly, I understand it's a little chilly today, you can just go to the mall, right? Go to the mall. Go to the airport. Walk in the hospital and just walk. Walk by yourself and just let things come and go, right? If you hear people, it's just a conversation, right? When you see things, when you smell things, when you feel things on your face, the wind, it's just a sensation. And people's executives, CEOs, they come up with their greatest ideas when they're walking. Writers like to walk. Jane Austen, who doesn't know Jane Austen, right? Pride and Prejudice. She would always come up with things when she was walking, okay? And she always thought she would meet the man of her dreams when she was walking. The poor girl died of 40, right? She died of leukemia at age 40, we think. But anyway, wonderful writer. And no music, no companion pets. And the thing what you're trying to do is just observe with cheerful indifference, meaning, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is, and just let it go. And I like that, cheerful indifference. It's not apathy. Mindfulness at your desk. For those of you still working, or those of you who are at your internet, or at the desk on the internet, right? Sometimes you'll get stressed. I know at work, I get stressed sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't, there's like, everybody wants something yesterday, right? Or if you're at the email, you're like, I can't believe this is happening. You're looking at the email, or you're looking at the news, and it's stressing you out. Or you're looking at your investments. A lot of you may be living on retirement right now, right? It's very stressful, okay? I'm not doing very well right now. So, but I mean, everything is down right now. But when it's too much and you're at your desk and you can't get up and go anywhere right now, the first thing you should do is, if there's a window, look out the window immediately. Just look up, out the window, okay? The other thing you can do is, if you don't have a window, look at the corner of the room. Look up and at a ceiling and just look up quickly. And what happens is, the shift in your gaze is a shift in your thoughts. Immediately, you get out of your head, just for that 1 split second, okay? And that's what you need. It's like the Control-Alt-Delete for your brain, right? It just resets everything just for a second, and then you come back. It doesn't last very long, but sometimes it's just enough to get you out of your head, to get you out of your funk, okay? All right. So one of my friends, she's a speech therapist, and I love her to death. She has 2 healthy girls. They're little. They're under the age of 5, both of them. God bless her. And then her husband is a researcher at the Cleveland Clinic, and they're wonderful people. They're very sweet people. They're nice and normal. but they fight, right? They argue about how to raise their kids. The kids are all over the place. You know, she's like, have you ever tried dressing a 3-year-old? It's the hardest thing, right? I'm not wearing that. And then she goes, okay, you go dress yourself then. She comes out in her swimming suit, okay? And she's like, you can't wear that to daycare. So she's got a lot of anxiety. And she told her mom, she said, Mom, I'm so anxious. I don't know, I can't handle this. And her mom didn't understand. Her mom said, why? You've got a great husband, you've got a great job, you've got 2 kids. Why are you anxious? And her mom didn't get it. And so she was telling me, and I said, well, you got to see this guy. He's one of my colleagues. He's a neuropsychologist. And so she went to see him, Scott B. He's wonderful. And what's wonderful about Scott is when he comes to greet you, as soon as he comes out, he goes, hi, I'm Scott. He's blind. He's blind. And so he comes out with his white cane. And then he shakes, he's like this. You know he's blind. He's like this. And you're like, oh, my problems aren't that bad. You know, and then you shake his hand. But what he teaches, and I love this, is that he's like, all right, he told my friend, what you're going to do is you have a lot of things to worry about. And that's understandable. You're a working mom. You're trying to please your husband. You're trying to please your kids. You're trying to please everybody. And it's too much. So he said, what you're going to do is you're going to save all of your anxieties and all of your worries for 5 minutes at the end of the day. You pick a time. So she's picked 6 o'clock or 6:30, okay? And throughout the day, whenever you feel like you want to worry, you just say, nope, I'm going to save it for 6:30. Okay, that's my worry time. So that's what she did. She's like, she would feel a worry. She's like, oh my God, what if my kid, you know, her kid wouldn't eat. Her kid's a picky eater, right? What if my kid wastes away, right? What if I get called by the Division of Family Services because they think I'm starving my kid? And so she starts going into this frenzy. And she was like, nope, I'm going to wait till 6:30. And so that's what she did. And at 6:30, she turned on the timer for 5 minutes, and then she just let it go. She just went crazy. And she did this for about a week. And towards the end of the week, you know what happened? She wouldn't even go the whole 5 minutes. She was like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. And then she stopped, and she didn't need it. She goes, Ginny, it was like a magic pill. So this is just an exercise that you can do, and you can learn. And then she would realize some of those are like the stupidest things ever, right? And then she realized what was something that was needed to be worried about, and something that didn't. And then, of course, there's emotional pain, all of us. So, you know, have you ever like stuck your foot on a desk or a table? You're like, oh, that's going to hurt, right? And it hurts. It hurts a lot. But then 10 days later, if I ask you, how did it feel when you stuck your foot? There's a bruise on your foot. And you would say, oh, man, it hurt. But you don't really feel that pain, right? You don't feel it. But say, you know, I know this researcher. He's a world-famous researcher. Like, he could draw a smiley face, sign it, and be in one of the biggest medical journals in the world, right? That's how famous he is. I kid around, but you know, something bad happened to him when he was a kid in the front of the classroom. The teacher embarrassed him in front of the class. It's something so small, but it hurt him so much. And he can still remember the pain, and he can still remember the humiliation, right? Even now, even though it's so silly. And it feels the same. That's the weird thing. Emotional pain feels the same, even years after it happened. And so mindfulness helps you deal with that. It helps stop the distractions. It stops that chain of thoughts that I was talking about. And it changes the pattern of thoughts, and it helps you let it go. And then I think another thing is getting out of your head. We are talking all the time in our head. Scientists have estimated that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Okay, there's a guy, Stanford Lupkin at Stanford, something like that. And 60,000 thoughts. 97% are the exact same thought we had the day before. And do you know what those thoughts are about? What do you usually think about? Me, right? You think about yourself. You think about how you feel. So mindfulness helps you be in the present moment, right here. I just read this in the airport, or the airline magazine on my way over here this morning. If you live in the future, you're anxious. If you live in the past, you're depressed. But if you live in the moment, you're just here. You're just here. And so it keeps you calm and equanimous, or equanimity, just neutral. And sometimes in the world, I took this in Shaker Square in Cleveland. Do you see the stoplight? So sometimes the universe sends you mixed messages. Do you walk or do you go, right? Mindfulness, this is Cleveland. What are you going to do? Mindfulness allows you to look around you. Look at all the clues around you, right? The red stoplight was there. The clue was that the cars were all stopped. And it helps you make decisions using what you see, using what you hear, using what you feel, using what you know, so that you're not confused and you can make the best decision possible, and it gives you insight. And that's what wisdom does. That's what wisdom is. You know those times in your lives where you wish you could go back and you can change this? I wish that I hadn't said this to her, right? We wouldn't be so estranged now. I wish I had married that guy instead of this person. I wish I had done this and not that. And if I could go back in time, I would change that right now. But you can't, all right? But with meditation and mindfulness, insight is wisdom, is like putting you in a time machine, putting you back to go and tell yourself, don't do that. Don't say that. You're going to hurt somebody. And so that's what wisdom is. It's that little voice inside of you, don't do it. Or do this, don't do that. And that's what meditation does. And it helps you to follow the right path. And so it gives you, sometimes what we want is right in front of our eyes. What we're looking for is right in front of our eyes. Does anyone see the hidden tiger in this picture? You see it already? That was fast. I didn't get it. If you put a gun to my head, I would have got it. Does everybody see the hidden tiger? Meditation will give this to you. So besides that tiger, right, there's a hidden tiger in this picture. Does anybody see it? I know we're getting out of time here. Do you see it? Do you see the hidden tiger? Oh. You see the word? That's what it is. It's the word. Look at the stripes. The hidden tiger. Sometimes what you're looking for is right in front of your eyes, but you can't see it. Mindfulness helps you see that. So in the last few minutes, I'm just going to show you how to do some mindfulness. I don't know, can the camera still see me? We're good? So this is an old Chinese meditation, and they say if you do this 1,000 times, you'll live forever. I don't want to live forever, okay? But if you do it 100 times, you'll live a long life, okay? So you can do this sitting, you can do this standing. So you put your palms like this, okay? And then you take a deep breath, and just slowly bring it up to shoulder length. And then stop, turn your palms down, and then breathe out. Slow. I'm going to do this 4 more times. Ready? Deep breath. You can close your eyes, breathe out. Just clear your mind. 3rd time, bring your hands up, all the way up to your shoulder. Breathe out. Again, deep breath. And out. Last time. Deep breath this time. And out. All right. And then another breathing method. So what I tell people is that, you know, you can live without food for 6 weeks. You can live without water for about 48 hours, a little bit more. But you can't live without your breath, right? So focus on your breathing. That's the best way to be in the present moment. And then the last thing is when you put your hands like this. Can everybody do this? And this is the last breathing. It's called supporting the heavens. This is part of a Tai Chi breathing, supporting the heavens. So you're going to take a deep breath. When you get to about your face, you're going to flip the hands over and keep flipping them over and then go around. Just a couple more times. Bring the breath back to your chi. Deep breath. Get to your face, flip it, flip it, flip it. Support the heavens. One more time. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Hold it. Flip your hands. And then bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. All right. And I thank you for having me today. Thank you. Are there any questions? Sorry about the Celine Dion headphones. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes, sir.
I take Tai Chi once a week and do Qigong.
Uh-huh.
Our teacher is telling us that the, what did you say, it's the center of
The chi.
the chi.
Right here.
Is focused 2 inches below your navel. You're saying it's above it.
Well, 2 inches below your navel is below. It's in your pelvis. It's like right here. Yeah. Or it's like just right here.
Well, yes.
Yeah, in this area. Yeah. So they was asking where the chi was. The chi's in this area right here. Right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
It's not a question. I did a summer camp a couple of years ago and we had Qigong. And when we came back at the end, and actually 4 or 5
Absolutely.
Really feel it. I was surprised. I thought, wow, this is, how you just how to focus.
And if we weren't being videotaped, I would have gotten us in a big circle. And maybe after they turn off the videotape, we'll do it. We'll do it as a group if everybody wants to. But there's a way we can share our chi together, and it's a fun way. Whoever wants to stay. Yes, ma'am.
When to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth?
Up to you. It's up to you. Breathing through the mouth is just a little bit easier. It's just up to you. Because people have sinus problems, but sometimes what I do is I breathe in through the nose and I breathe out through the mouth. But whatever is comfortable for you is whatever is best. And there's no, if you want to be pure and you want to do Tai Chi a certain way, and that's fine, because, well, you're not following the form. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. You're missing the point. Tai Chi, Qigong, all these movement meditations are for you to get out of your head. And that's all it is. So, any other questions? Yes, sir?
The difference between meditation and discipline.
Very different. So discipline, so the question is, what's the difference between meditation and discipline? Meditation can help you stick to a discipline, but discipline is more willpower, and it's more of a force. Meditation helps you understand things. It gives you insight. It relaxes you. Discipline, I was in the military. That does not relax you, okay? You can do something again and again and again, and you can do it well, and you get up at 4 in the morning, right? We do more in the military than most people do, all day or something. We do before 6 a.m. But meditation helps you with discipline. It focuses you, concentrates you, but it relaxes you. It makes you understand things. It gives you insight. Discipline does not do that, but it is good for you. Yes, ma'am.
How much? What is ideal, or does that vary from person to person?
You can do mindfulness every second of the day. You can do it right now. It's like Kegel's exercises. Women know what I'm talking about, right? So you can do that any time of the day. For some reason, insight meditation comes to me when I'm walking to the parking lot every night when I go home from work. It's just natural. So every minute. And the people who say, well, I don't have time to meditate, those people need to meditate even more. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you.